He built a billion-dollar empire, then walked into a place that would tear it all apart. It was the kind of rain that left no room for thoughts, thick, cold, and unrelenting. Drops drummed against the windshield of the black Mercedes Maybach as it idled outside a modest, red-bricked building on the edge of town. Not the kind of place Martin Greaves, real estate mogul and whispered billionaire, usually found himself. But that day, something had dragged him here, something older than guilt, heavier than curiosity. He adjusted the cuffs of his tailored charcoal suit and glanced at the building again. A sign, modest and half-faded, St. Hilara's Hospice, compassion in every hour. For a man who owned 27 buildings in the city, including a glass skyscraper downtown with his name in silver on the top floor, walking into a hospice felt ironic. Maybe even insulting. But Martin wasn't here for business. He left the car running and told his driver he wouldn't be long. The inside smelled faintly of antiseptic and something warmer, maybe vanilla. A volunteer at the reception desk, a young woman with tired eyes and a welcoming smile, stood as he entered. "Mr. Greaves." He nodded. "Follow me. She's been asking for you." He didn't ask how she recognized him. Fame came with its own shadows. They walked through a corridor lined with paper butterflies taped to the walls. Childlike, uneven. Some had names written on them. Martin read one, James, age 6. "Miss you, Mommy." His stomach gave a strange twist. The room was small, with dim lighting, a vase of wilting flowers on the nightstand, and a woman in the bed who looked like she'd been sculpted by time and chemotherapy. "Marion," he asked, softly. She turned her head. "Marty," she said, and smiled. "God, you look awful. Still dressing like Wall Street threw up on you." He chuckled despite himself. "You look better than I expected." "Liar." She coughed. The sound was rough, like something tearing from the inside. "Sit." He obeyed, the leather of his coat creaking as he lowered himself into the armchair beside her. They hadn't seen each other in 23 years. Not since that last screaming match, not since he'd slammed the door of her rent-controlled apartment and vowed to never look back. Not since he made his first million and decided family was a liability. "I heard you were dying," he said. "I heard you were rich." Neither of them smiled this time. She looked at him carefully, her eyes too clear for someone so close to the end. "Why'd you come?" "I don't know," he admitted. "I thought I owed you." Marion closed her eyes. "No. You didn't come for me. You came for you." The silence that followed wasn't awkward. It was ancient, dense, filled with everything they hadn't said when it would have mattered. "You know," she whispered, "I was proud of you. Even after everything." Martin swallowed. His throat ached suddenly. "You never wrote." "I had nothing to say that would make you come back." He wanted to argue. Say it wasn't true. Say he would have come. But they both knew he wouldn't have. He looked around the room again. There were photographs on the wall, some faded, some bright. Kids. A man he didn't recognize. Her second life. The one she'd lived without him. "You have a son?" he asked, nodding to a photo of a dark-haired boy in a soccer jersey. "Fostered him," she said. "Nate. He's grown now. Lives in Colorado. Calls me every Sunday." Martin stared at the photo. "He looks like you. He acts like me too. Stubborn as a goat." Another silence. "I came here to make peace," he said finally. Marion chuckled. "Peace is overrated. What you need is clarity." He looked at her. "Clarity? You don't know what your money's for anymore, do you?" Martin hesitated. "I guess not." "Then start there." She coughed again, and this time it didn't stop. A nurse came in, adjusted her oxygen, whispered something kind and efficient. When she left, Marion turned to him, her voice now barely a rasp. "There's a girl here," she said. "Room 12. You should meet her. She reminds me of you, in a way." Martin frowned. "Why?" "She's smart. Angry. Thinks life cheated her." "Maybe it did. But maybe you two can cheat it back." He didn't understand. But something in her tone made him promise, anyway. I'll visit her, he said. Marion smiled. It was the last time they saw each other. Martin returned the next day. He didn't tell anyone. Not his driver, not his secretary, not the woman he was technically still married to but hadn't spoken to in weeks. He wore a hoodie and jeans this time. Not to blend in, he wasn't naive, but because it felt wrong to wear wealth-like armor in a place where people were counting down hours. He asked the front desk for room 12. The volunteer from yesterday gave a small nod, didn't press him with questions, just buzzed him through. Room 12 was halfway down the hallway, door slightly ajar. He knocked once. Hey. Can I come in? A voice snapped from inside. Is this about the meds? Because I told you people, I'm not taking anything else until Dr. Patel explains what the hell. It's not about meds, Martin interrupted, stepping in. I'm not staff. The girl, young woman, really, froze. She looked no older than 22. Pale skin, shaved head, headphones slung around her neck. Her eyes were the kind of dark that made you think of fight, not fear. You're definitely not staff, she said, narrowing her gaze. Who are you? Martin. That's supposed to mean something to me. No. Marion sent me. That made her pause. She leaned back against her pillow, eyes still guarded but less sharp. She said you remind her of me, he added. Wow. What a compliment, she muttered, sarcasm biting through her fatigue. Martin chuckled. I wasn't sure what she meant either. She studied him like one would study a stray dog, suspicious, curious, maybe even a little hopeful. Why'd you come? She asked finally. Because she asked me to. That's it. He shrugged. She was the last person who told me the truth to my face and didn't want anything for it. So yeah. That's it. The girl's expression shifted, just a little. Not softening, recalibrating. She jerked her chin toward the chair near her bed. You gonna sit, or just stand there looking rich and confused? He sat. They didn't speak for a minute. A nurse walked by in the hall, talking into a headset. Somewhere down the corridor, a monitor beeped steadily, a stubborn heartbeat resisting the inevitable. Finally, she said, I'm Harper. He nodded. Nice to meet you, Harper. You don't look like someone who hangs out in hospices. You don't look like someone who's dying. She smirked. Touché. Another silence. Less hostile this time. Martin gestured to the sketchpad on her lap. You draw. She covered it instinctively. Sometimes. Can I see? No. He smiled. She didn't. Why are you really here? She asked again. Like, what's in this for you? Martin leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I built empires. I bulldozed neighborhoods to raise glass towers. I told myself I was making the world better. That I deserved what I had. But now I'm sitting in a room with a 22-year-old who has more spine than most CEOs I've met, and I think, maybe I just want to understand something real before it's too late. Her brow furrowed. That's really depressing, man. He laughed. Yeah. I guess it is. Harper exhaled slowly. You know what's weird? I don't get many visitors. My mom's in Florida. My dad bailed years ago. My friends disappeared once the hair went. But you, some billionaire stranger, just walks in like we're supposed to have some magical Hallmark moment. I hate Hallmark, he muttered. She cracked a grin. Okay. That's 1 point for you. They sat in a strange kind of peace. After a while, Harper opened her sketchpad and flipped to a drawing, a rough but vibrant charcoal portrait of a woman in a hospital bed. Her face half lit, half shadowed. Defiant. That Marion? Yeah, she said. She made me promise I'd keep drawing. Said it's the only thing more honest than pain. Martin stared at it. It wasn't perfect. But it was alive. I'd like to buy it, he said quietly. She snorted. It's not for sale. Everything has a price. Maybe in your world. Not in mine. He looked at her, really looked. And for the first time in weeks, felt something stir in his chest. Not guilt. Not regret. Possibility. "I'll come back tomorrow," he said, standing. She rolled her eyes. "Don't expect a parade." As he left, he passed the butterfly wall again. One had fallen to the ground. He bent, picked it up, and saw the name, Elijah. Age 8. "I want to be a pilot." Martin walked out into the rain. This time, he didn't mind getting wet. 3 days passed before Martin returned. He hadn't intended to stay away so long, but his world, his old world, had pulled him back. A collapsed deal in Atlanta. A headline scandal involving one of his top executives. A board meeting where someone dared to suggest he'd lost his edge. Maybe they were right. But on the third morning, he canceled everything. Told his assistant to hold all calls. Even disabled his phone before stepping into St. Hilara's. Harper was in her bed, a hoodie pulled over her head, sketchpad open. She didn't look up. "Took you long enough," she murmured. "Nice to see you too." He sat down in the usual chair. She was sketching again, this time something abstract, bold lines crashing into soft shapes, chaos trying to become something else. Martin watched her hand move across the paper, fast and angry. "You okay?" "Nope." He waited. She finished a line, then tossed the pad onto the side table and finally looked at him. "They told me yesterday. The trial's not working. My body stopped responding." He didn't know what to say. Money couldn't fix this. Charm couldn't bend it. For the first time in a very long time, Martin Greaves was helpless. "So what now?" he asked gently. "I asked the doctor the same thing. She said I've got weeks. Maybe a couple months. Depends if I get another infection. You know, the usual cheerful stuff." He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "I'm sorry." She shrugged. "Everyone's sorry. Doesn't really help." "I could," he hesitated. "There might be specialists. Other options." "I could." "Don't," she said sharply. "Don't throw money at this. I don't want to die under fluorescent lights in some overpriced clinic pretending I'll beat odds no one else has." He didn't argue. He just nodded. Then, after a long silence, she asked, "Did Marion leave anything for you?" Martin frowned. "What do you mean?" "She mentioned it before she passed. Said you had something coming. Something she left behind." He shook his head. "Nothing. I didn't. Wait." He reached into his coat pocket. "I did get this in the mail." He pulled out a small envelope. He hadn't opened it yet. It was sealed with wax and had one word on the front in Marion's messy scrawl, "Read." Harper raised an eyebrow. "Seriously? You carried that around without reading it?" "I don't know. I guess I was afraid." "Afraid of what?" "That she'd be right." Harper didn't press him. Just waited. He broke the seal and unfolded the single sheet inside. "Marty," it began. "I know you. You'll wait too long to read this. Maybe out of pride. Maybe fear. Doesn't matter. What matters is this: you're not a bad man. But you forgot what you used to be. Before the towers. Before the yachts. Before you learned to ignore the people below the penthouse view. So I'm leaving you something. Not money, God knows you don't need more of that. I'm leaving you a responsibility. Harper. Don't rescue her. Don't fix her. Just see her. Be there. Learn. She's got more truth in her than you ever found in all your boardrooms. If you listen, really listen, maybe you'll remember who you were supposed to be. Love always, M." He folded the letter slowly. Harper didn't say anything, just watched him. He met her gaze. "She left me you." "Apparently," she said, eyes sharp but unreadable. "You sure you're up for that?" "I don't know," he answered. "But I'm here, aren't I?" She tilted her head. "That's a start." They sat quietly for a while, the kind of silence that wasn't heavy or awkward but strangely comfortable. Then she said, "Tell me something you've never told anyone." Martin blinked. What? You want to be here? You want to see me? Then don't give me surface. Give me you. He hesitated. Long enough she almost waved him off. But then. When I was 29, I stood on the roof of my first big project. 18 stories. My name on the plans. It was a cold December morning, and I thought, this is it. I made it. But instead of feeling proud, I looked down at the street and wondered how far I'd have to fall to feel anything. Harper stared at him. I didn't jump, he added. But I thought about it. A lot. She nodded slowly. Yeah. That's the kind of thing I mean. Martin exhaled. Your turn. Harper looked at her hands. Then up at him. I'm not afraid of dying. I'm afraid of being forgotten. Like I was just some statistic. A bad roll of the dice. You won't be, he said. How do you know? Because I won't let you. And somehow, they both knew he meant it. The next time Martin came to St. Hilara's, he brought two things. A fresh charcoal set and a canvas pad, better quality than Harper's worn-out sketchbook, and a thermos of real coffee from a tiny cafe in Midtown she'd once mentioned in passing. He hadn't forgotten. She took the sketchpad without comment, flipping through the blank pages like they were sacred. When she reached the end, she nodded once and said, thanks. These'll outlive me. Good, he said. Art should outlive the artist. She narrowed her eyes at him, a little suspicious. You practicing to be deep, or is this your new personality? He smirked. I don't know. I'm figuring it out as I go. Dangerous hobby, she murmured, but her lips twitched. Almost a smile. That day, they talked about everything except sickness. Harper asked him about his first deal. He told her about a 4-unit duplex in Queens and how he lied through his teeth to secure the down payment. She called him a scumbag. He agreed. She told him about her first gallery visit, age 14, dragged by a foster mom with a wine habit and a quiet rage, and how a single brushstroke on a canvas made her cry for the first time in 2 years. She didn't even know why. You ever think about opening your own gallery? He asked. She laughed. Yeah, and I also thought about living past 30. Dreams, man. No, I mean it. I have spaces. Empty ones. Downtown. With light. You could pick the paint. Design the layout. You trying to turn me into a charity case? No, he said. I'm trying to invest in something that matters. She stared at him. You're not used to people saying no to you, are you? Not really. Well, get used to it, she said, but not unkindly. Later that afternoon, when she dozed off, Martin sat in the hallway. He watched a volunteer read stories to a woman in a wheelchair, her head nodding but eyes wide open. A man down the corridor tried to eat Jell-O with shaking hands. Someone coughed in a room nearby, a deep, rattling sound that made him flinch. He pulled out his phone and dialed a number he hadn't used in years. Hey, said a tired voice. Marty. Yeah, he said. It's me. Well. I'll be damned. It was Nate, Marion's foster son. They talked. Briefly. Martin told him about the letter. About Marion's death. About Harper. You sound different, Nate said at the end. Different how? Like someone who finally stopped listening to his own voice long enough to hear someone else's. Martin didn't sleep much that night. The next morning, he walked into Harper's room to find her crying. Quietly, eyes squeezed shut, shoulders tight. Not sobbing, just leaking pain like steam from a cracked pipe. He didn't ask why. He didn't try to fix it. He just sat beside her and placed the thermos on her tray. Bad day, she whispered. Yeah. I didn't want you to see me like this. He didn't look away. I needed to. She turned her head slightly, eyes rimmed with red. Why are you still coming back? Because every day I do, I feel less like a ghost. She laughed, a soft, broken thing. You really are changing. I don't know what I'm becoming, he admitted. She looked at him carefully. Good. After a while, she asked, if you could go back, do it all again, would you? He didn't answer right away. He thought about his empty penthouse, the echo in the halls of his glass empire, the way success had tasted like dust for years. No, he said finally. Not like that. Harper leaned back. Then maybe you've still got time. Time to what? To become someone worth remembering. He stared at her. Then said, let's make a deal. Oh boy. You keep drawing. Every day, until your hands say no. And you. I'll make sure your art has a home. A real one. With walls and light and people who care. She studied him. No contracts. Nope. No paper. Just this. He reached out, held up his pinky. She stared at it, then rolled her eyes. Seriously? That's how billionaires seal deals now. Only the ones that matter. She hesitated. Then, slowly, hooked her pinky around his. The hospice had rules, but no one stopped Martin from visiting every day now. He came early. Stayed late. Sometimes he read aloud while Harper drew, sometimes they just sat in silence, interrupted only by the soft scratch of charcoal on paper or the buzz of life support monitors humming in distant rooms. She was getting weaker. He could see it. Her body shrinking into itself. But her eyes, they were burning brighter. One morning, he arrived to find her sketching fiercely, lines carving through the paper with ferocity. She didn't look up. Bad dream, he asked. She didn't answer for a long moment. Then, there's something wrong with the world. Martin Saturday, I've noticed. No, I mean it. I'm in here, dying. And out there, people are still wasting time pretending anything matters except this. Moments. People. The truth. He nodded. That's hard to monetize. She threw the sketchpad onto the floor. Don't joke. I wasn't. She stared at him. I want to show them. Show who? Everyone. I want people to see what it feels like. Not to die, but to know you're dying and still choose to create. Martin picked up her sketchpad. Page after page of raw, brutal beauty stared back at him, portraits, half-faces, skeletons wrapped in scarves, sunlight cutting across empty hospital beds. It was unsparing. Terrifying. Honest. You will, he said. You keep saying that. Because I mean it. She blinked. How? He pulled out his phone and showed her something, a website mock-up. Simple, elegant. The homepage had one word, Harper. She stared. What is this? Your gallery. Online first. Then physical. I've got a team working out of a studio in Tribeca. Every piece you've made, every one you still make, will live here. And when you're gone, the story stays. Her mouth parted. You did this. I'm not good with paper and pens. But I know people. I know how to build walls that speak. She laughed, then choked a little. Her hand flew to her chest. He moved instinctively, steadying her, waiting until her breathing evened out. When she could speak again, she whispered, "Promise me it won't be about pity." "It won't," he said. "It'll be about truth." Harper closed her eyes. Then okay. They didn't speak for a long time after that. The weight of permission had its own gravity. Later that afternoon, a woman knocked on the door. Blonde, middle-aged, with a nervous smile. She wore a soft cardigan and clutched a worn leather purse like a lifeline. "Hi," she said, hesitantly. "Is this Harper's room?" Martin stood. Harper looked up. "Mom," she said, barely audible. The woman stepped in. "I got your letter. I wasn't sure you'd come." "I wasn't sure I could," the woman whispered. "But then I saw the drawings you sent. And I remembered your eyes. From when you were small." Harper's voice broke. "I'm still small." Her mother came closer, sat on the edge of the bed, and took her daughter's fragile hand. "I'm sorry," she said. "I didn't know how to be there before. But I want to be here now." Martin turned and quietly left the room. He stood outside in the hallway, next to the butterfly wall. Another one had fallen. This time, he didn't put it back. He slipped it into his pocket. That night, he found himself at his penthouse window, the city sprawling like an open secret beneath him. Skyscrapers gleamed like promises they could never keep. He took a photo of the butterfly. Posted it on the new site. Captioned it, "One life. One truth. No do-overs." And hit publish. The site went live. Harper lasted 17 more days. They weren't easy. Some were soaked in pain so sharp it felt like fire under her skin. Others were so quiet Martin feared each breath might be her last. But she kept drawing, sometimes only a single line, other times an entire page of trembling strokes. Her mother stayed. They talked late into the nights, sharing old wounds and shy apologies. Martin gave them space when needed. Other times, he just sat and listened, as if proximity could soften the unbearable. On the 15th day, Harper gave Martin a bundle of rolled paper. "These are the last ones," she said. "The ones that matter." He opened them carefully back at his apartment. One was a portrait of her mother holding a cup of tea, her eyes somewhere far away. Another showed a hospital hallway in charcoal blur, a man in a suit sitting alone, him. But the final piece was different. A butterfly, wings spread wide, but jagged, fractured, every edge screaming against the clean paper. Below it, in her neat, deliberate handwriting. "You don't need to build higher. Just closer." Martin didn't sleep that night. The next morning, she was gone. He was there. Held her hand. Said nothing. He didn't need to. At her memorial, small, intimate, in the hospice garden, he read the letter Marion had sent him aloud. Then stepped back and let the silence say the rest. 6 months later, Martin stood in the middle of a converted loft in Tribeca. The gallery was open. The walls weren't white, they were a stormy gray, the kind Harper liked. Her work hung without plaques, just a single handwritten quote beside the entrance: "Don't look for answers. Look for honesty." People came. Not thousands. But enough. Some wept. Others just stood and stared. A few whispered to strangers about what the drawings made them remember. Harper's mother was there, dressed in navy, standing beside the portrait Harper had made of her. She touched the frame, then Martin's hand. "Thank you," she said. "For seeing her." Martin didn't respond. He just nodded. That night, alone in the gallery, he sat on the floor beneath the butterfly piece. Her final drawing. He thought of his skyscrapers. His awards. His deals. And realized, none of them had ever made him feel. But this girl, this fierce, brilliant, dying girl, had. And because of her, maybe he wasn't lost anymore. He took a breath. Then stood up, and turned off the lights. But the gallery still glowed.